Yeah, read it again, over and over again. Read the Word of God. This is Pastor Mike, and I'm online, and I'm live with you today, and this is, get ready now, this is the talk show that Mohammed hates, and the more you listen, the more you'll know why. And the talk show hell hates, and the talk show Allah hates, and the talk show that liberals hate, and the talk show that, let's see here, gun haters hate, and on and on and on. I've got stacks of paper like this to go through today, and what I don't get done today, I have taken the time out of my busy schedule to copy and post all of these articles here on the Pastor Mike Online official Facebook page. Pastor Mike, that is facebook.com/Pastor Mike Online. Go there, read these for yourself, share them with others, let them know. I feel sorry for people who don't believe the Bible. I do. I feel sorry for them because they're like, they look at all this stuff in the world and they're going, oh, wow, it's bad. I wonder what's going to happen. It's the end of the world as we know it. And God's people looking at it and going, yeah, I know what that is. That's in the Bible. I think that's like one of the things that is, coming, and Christ is going to return, and we're all going to be happy one of these days. That's what I like. Yay, everybody happy. Let me just touch on a couple of things related to the Islamic Quran-based terror attack on the United States of America, what they're calling the worst terror attack by ISIS. And in case you're wondering why, if you watch Barack Hussein and him talking about the terrorist, and you could just, I didn't watch all of his speech. I just don't like to watch the guy. It makes me mad. But what little bit of it I watched, I could tell he's like gritting his teeth because he's got to get out there and say Muslim terror. He can't stand that. And but he doesn't say ISIS. He does not say ISIS. He says ISIL. And the ISIS anagram is Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. And Barack Hussein has decided that America's interests are best served by funneling large amounts of money and guns to Islamic extremists in Syria, which will bring Sharia law to that country, which will bring another Islamic stronghold and large amounts of oil cash, rather than the government that is in Syria right now. That's the guy that we have sitting with his finger hovering over the nuclear buttons. That's that guy. Islam is terror. Islam is, and I said it the other day, there's liberal Islamists, there are liberal Muslims, just like there are liberal Christians who don't really believe in their religion. They don't believe in their book. But their book tells them to go out and kill white people, go out and kill Christians, go out and kill Jews, kill anybody, cut their head off, anybody who will not yield to Islam. That's their evangelistic efforts right there. Either proclaim Allah to be the supreme God and that he had no son, and that Mohammed was his prophet, or would just simply shoot you or cut your head off. This just came in. Thank you for sending me this. Is a handbook called the Islamic Circle of North America. The handbook spells out the organization's ultimate goal is, quote, the establishment of Islam as the sole basis of global society and governance. It also encourages members to deceive people in its proselytizing campaign to help fulfill this goal. Now, here's what I'm telling you. How do you tell the difference between a liberal Muslim and a Muslim extremist? You don't. You cannot tell the difference. You cannot tell the difference between someone who says, "Oh, Islam I'm Islamic and we're a religion of peace, and those people are just they're hijacking Islam and they're not really Islamists. They're really just bad people and all this." How do you tell the difference? You don't, because it is allowed in Islam that you can lie for the sake of Allah and his kingdom. You can lie, you can deceive people, you can pretend that you're one thing, meanwhile you're something completely different. Is that not what the two terrorist married couple did all the time that they're working in the United States, living in the neighborhood? They are pretending that they are nice people, and all the while their home was being used as an IED manufacturing plant. They were making bombs inside that house with other people. They were being funneled large sums of money from terrorist organizations. And I've got just a little bit of bad attitude toward the United States government because of all of the snooping, of all of the emails that the NSA computers have read, of all the phone calls that they have logged, of all of the conversations that should have been flagged by some NSA or CIA computer, out of all of the massive amounts of data that have been passing over the wires and over the airwaves all across the world, nobody saw this guy coming. He received wire transfers of money. He was making phone calls. He went to Saudi Arabia. He got radicalized. He comes back over here. Somebody should have had him on a list somewhere, but he just, out of the blue, just shows up, and him and his wife killed 14 people. Their goal is the takeover of the United States of America. That is their goal. Their goal is the takeover of Canada, Mexico, South America. They even won Australia for some unknown reason. But that's their goal. And while pacifists in this country believe the lie that we can take all of these Syrian refugees and all of these people from all over the world, all of these Muslims in, and then think that we're all just going to get along just fine. All of these pastors that are thinking the same thing. Well, let's what was that liberal pastor in some church over in Europe? She was the head pope bishop of some, I think it's in Norway or something like that. Anyway, she wanted all the crosses taken down out of their church so that when the Muslims came in from the boats, they could go in that church and pray toward Mecca and not be offended by the cross. Liberals are dangerous. This handbook, the aim is one that ICNA has been actively pursuing as the group has set its sights on America's constitutional separation of religion and state. It's not the first example of radicalism by one of America's largest Muslim organizations. The ICNA magazine has featured interviews with terrorist leaders in Pakistan, called on youth to fight abroad in Kashmir, and honored like-minded extremist organizations like the Muslim Brotherhood and South Asia's Jamaat-e-Islami. Concerns have also been expressed about 5 young members of the group's Virginia mosque who were arrested and convicted on terrorism charges after attempting to link up with and fight for Pakistani terror groups in 2009. The rest of this article is on my Pastor Mike Online Facebook page. I encourage you to read it, educate yourself and others about what is coming to the United States of America. Meanwhile, the Attorney General, let me explain the Attorney General. The Attorney General of the United States of America is the highest, I think it's like one of the highest law offices in the entire country, maybe even the entire world. The Attorney General of the United States of America is like America's prosecutor. People who commit federal crimes, it is under her jurisdiction to make sure that the law has been applied, that justice has been done, and that the right sentence, a proper sentence, has been executed for crimes done on the federal level. Not just local thieves and thugs and things like that, but crimes on the federal level. That's the Attorney General's job. Former governor of Missouri, John Ashcroft, served as the Attorney General under the Bush administration. Some say that Ashcroft was responsible for a lot of things, such as the Patriot Act and so on. I'm not sure about that. Ashcroft was a pretty decent governor. He was a conservative Christian governor. And but what direction he took after 9/11, I'm not sure of. Now the Attorney General of the United States, by the way, does anybody know? Does anybody know who the Attorney General of the United States of America is? Anybody know? I didn't. I had no idea. Okay? I'm hearing this woman's name, and I'm just going, well, who's that? She's the Attorney General of the United States of America. Handpicked and approved by Barack Hussein to be the top litigator in the United States. That's her role. She's to seek out evil people in the United States and have them prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Here's what she said. Attorney General's Loretta Lynch, her plans to keep her promise made to a Muslim legal group to prosecute, quote, anti-Muslim speech. She comes out after the terror attack in California and says that she will go after anybody who has anti-Muslim speech. Bring it on. Come on, bring it on. Because I'm not shutting up. And Americans all over this country are sick and tired of being told how we ought to think, being told how we ought to keep our mouths shut. We're tired of it. We're tired of the conversation always being about how tolerant we are as a nation and how we're going to put up with women coming into this country, going through immigration and customs, going through TSA security checkpoints, wearing a long flowing gown all the way down to the floor, and a burqa and a head covering that only reveals a scant portion of their eyeballs, and they are allowed to go through security without even being touched. And a 90-year-old grandma going through on a wheelchair gets a hand up her dress because she might be carrying a bomb under there. Anyway, she said that she was going to prosecute anybody who made anti-Muslim speech. A promise delivered the night following the massacre of 14 Americans in San Bernardino by Syed Farouk and his wife, Tashfeen Malik. She may want to begin with two Republican former office holders. Both are delivering online rants against Islam and are daring Lynch to charge them. WorldNet Daily reported Lynch speaking at a dinner held by the Muslim Advocates, a national legal advocacy group. Do you not understand what this group does? I mean, I don't have to do an investigation to know what this group stands for. A national legal advocacy group. That group is all about establishing Sharia law in the United States of America and supporting it. Lawsuits are going to be filed. Lawyers are going to be arguing their case. Judges, liberal judges, are going to rule in favor of laws that are not even on the books of the United States of America, that are on some other country. And because they're Muslim and we don't want to offend them, we're going to give in to all of their laws and their demands. And people are tired of it. You're tired of it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being told that I have to share my country and my freedom and my faith, that I have to compromise what I stand for and what I believe in so that these people don't get offended. And it's really my fault. It's my fault that these immoral, devil-possessed people shot and killed 14 people. It's my fault because I offended their God. I used to have a bar of soap around here. Here it is. It's back there. I can't reach it. Somebody sent me a bar of soap. It was called hogwash. And that's what that is. It's a bunch of hogwash. And I don't know the derivation of that term, but I have a theory. What happens when you wash a pig? The Bible says they go right back to wallowing in their mire. You know what hogwash is? A waste of time and soap. That's what hogwash is. Anyway, Lynch, speaking at a dinner held by the Muslim advocates, did not directly address the San Bernardino shootings at the event, but said there had been, quote, a very disturbing rise in anti-Muslim rhetoric. Now, it couldn't have anything to do with the fact that all of the killings that have taken place in the past, 5-10 years have been by Muslims. Couldn't have anything to do with that. Assuring the pro-Muslim group that, quote, we stand with you. She said, we stand with you. Her and Hussein. Birds of a feather, people. We stand with you. Lynch said she would use her Justice Department to protect Muslims from violence, quote unquote, and discrimination, and vowed to prosecute anyone guilty of what she described as violence-inspiring speech. Like mine. She says, quote, the fear that you have just mentioned is in fact my greatest fear as a prosecutor, as someone who has sworn to the protection of all the American people, which is that the rhetoric will be accompanied by acts. Let me stop right here. Her duty as the Attorney General is not the protection of the American people. We can protect ourselves. Her job and her duty is the same one that Barack Hussein swore when he put his hand on a Bible. He said that he would protect and defend not the American people, the Constitution of the United States of America. That's her job. She just lied to these people. She's lying to America, telling us that it's her job to protect us. I don't think so. Let me. Here's how well. Here is how well you and I get protected. Here's how well. Let's see here. Where is this from? TheFreeBeacon.com. 72 Department of Homeland Insecurity employees are on a terrorist watch list. 72 employees of the Department of Homeland Insecurity are on a terrorist watch list. The people whose our money, my paycheck has money taken out every week. I'm supposed to get such and such a week. I only get such and such a week. Why? Because before I ever get it, Uncle Sam gets it. Uncle Sam then hires people who are supposed to be protecting me for my own good and my own benefit. Now, let me say this. I'm not against taxes. I'm against high taxes. And I'm very against high taxes. I'm not against taxation as a means to operate government. I am not against that tax money going to law enforcement people who are good guys. You will not find anarchy in me. You will not find a hatred of police and law enforcement in me. I have a niece who is in law enforcement. She has served this county with honor and distinction. She pulled over. Her first job in law enforcement was in a local town, Hillsboro, Missouri, which is a small town. It's the county seat. And they have a very small police force. And that was her first job. She pulled over a woman who was speeding through Hillsboro. This woman, I can't remember who she was, but she was some sort of high-ranking executive in Jefferson County government. She walked up to her car, got her driver's license, proof of insurance, all this stuff. The woman obviously was very, very ticked off that she got pulled over by this young deputy. She told my niece, she said, "Do you know who I am?" To which my niece replied, Yes, ma'am, I do know who you are. Do you know who I am? I am the one writing you a ticket. And I went, yeah! There are good cops out there. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of guys out there carrying badges and weapons. They bear not the sword in vain, Romans 13 says, and they love this country. And they are sick and tired of being accused of things that they didn't do. They're tired of it. I support them. 72 employees at the Department of Homeland Security are listed on the U.S. terror watch list, according to a Democratic lawmaker. Representative Stephen Lynch, out of Massachusetts, of all things, disclosed that a congressional investigation recently found that at least 72 people working at DHS were also on the watch list. Back in August, he said, we did an investigation, the Inspector General did, of the Department of Homeland Security, and they had 72 individuals that were on the watch list that were actually working at the Department of Homeland Security. The former DHS director had to resign because of that. The guy who's running it had to resign because his own people were terrorists or associated with terrorists. You know what that is? We call that is the fox watching the hen house. That's what that is. The fox or the wolf is watching or guarding the hen house. What that means is that fox is just waiting for the opportunity to raid the hen house. We have people in high-ranking positions of governmental authority in this country who hate this country, and they hate you. You, to them, you're an extremist. You're a racist. You're a bigot. You're a dangerous Baptist fundamentalist, or whatever breed you are. You are dangerous to this new world order that we're trying to impose on everybody. You are dangerous, and we're going to go after you. We're going to turn our backs and close our eyes to the real terrorist who ask yourself the question. Ask the question. How many Southern Baptists have been arrested or been accused of blowing up airplanes, cutting people's heads off, bringing buildings down, going on mass massacres in the name of Southern Baptists? How many? How many Pentecostal terrorists board planes and hijack them? How many Presbyterians? How many Methodists? How many Nazarenes? How many people who refer to themselves as Christians? How many have been terrorists in the last 5 years? And yet they go after us. They're coming after us. They're looking at us. They're listening to us. They're waiting for us to say something so they can jump on it. They're waiting for us to defend guns. Speaking of that, I'm moving right along here. Not doing too bad. Here's an article, Huffington Post. In response to the almost daily mass shootings in the United States, which could be expected to rise now that they are also promoted by ISIS, at our homecoming, last year, I talked about ISIS. Why it's called, to me it's interesting, it's called ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Why is it called ISIS? I think she is the spirit behind that. ISIS. Hear me out on this. ISIS, Mystery Babylon, Jezebel, Delilah. She hates Bible Christianity, and she hates God's promises, and she hates God's people. Think about it. That spirit that is in these Islamic terrorists and these murderers and these jihadists, that spirit is Babylon. And she's a murderous spirit. She drinks blood. She drinks the blood of martyrs and becomes drunk on it. She drank Abel's blood. Go read Genesis 4. You'll see it. Anyway, In response to the almost daily mass shootings in the United States, good progressive persons are calling for some measure of gun control. They may well know in their hearts that even if these measures are enacted, they will do little to reduce gun violence. Now, let me bring something up about these two terrorists in San Bernardino. They had guns. They were at shooting ranges practicing to shoot these weapons, him and her both. And the gun control people are trying to make us, but now get this picture. The gun control people are trying to make us believe that if we had a zero tolerance policy on semi-automatic weapons or assault rifles or what Obama called weapons of war, if we had a strict ban on those weapons, they're trying to make us believe that these two people would have just said, well, we want to kill all the Christians at work, but we don't have any semi-automatic weapons, assault rifles or weapons of war. We don't have them because we can't buy them legally. We want to wage jihad on America, but we just don't have any guns to do it with. They've all been outlawed. That's what they want you to think. They want you to equate strict gun control and ban on guns with peace and safety. They want you to lock those two things together. That's what they want you to do. These people were making IEDs, improvised explosive devices, in their house. They had a bomb-making factory in their house. There are laws against making bombs in your house. In California, in Missouri, everywhere, there's laws against it. They were breaking the law making those bombs. Are we to believe that if we were to impose very, very strict, no compromise bans on weapons of war, that would not have happened? You're not smart if that's what you think. Because the people who want the guns to do bad things, they're going to get them, and they're not going to go ask the FBI office if they can purchase illegal guns from Mexico to go blow people's heads off in America. They're not going to do that. This guy was being funneled large sums of money electronically into his bank account, and the FBI and the NSA was just going, oh, what a beautiful morning. And let me say this too. After posting last week's Pastor Mike Online, and I called it Guns Don't Kill People. Posting it on sermon audio, that's one thing. When you post it on YouTube, the people come out of the woodwork on YouTube. And I don't ban comments on my YouTube channel. I don't. Some people said, I made a comment and he took it right off. I didn't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that on YouTube. There's a reason why I don't do it. I listen, everybody wants to talk, let them talk. And if you want to come out with your ignorance and post it publicly and associate it with your name, you are more than welcome to. So I don't ban anything on the comments on YouTube, but I did read some of them. People are saying that I need to repent. People are telling me that I'm not a Christian, that I've got a bad spirit on me because I say that I carry a weapon with me. When I go out with my wife and my child or my children or my grandchildren, when I'm out with them, Lisa and I both are carrying a weapon. We have it concealed. We have a legal right. We have a license from the state of Missouri that gives us the right to conceal a weapon on our person or in our vehicle. We have been vetted by the government. We have been approved by that. We are safe and sound and moral people. We are not going to carry a weapon in someplace and just start shooting people at random or because they are wearing a burqa or anything else. We are not going to do that. And I get called unchristian. I get people say, he's got a bad spirit on him. He carries a gun while he's preaching. Do you not understand that people come in churches now and start shooting people for no other reason other than people? They just kill them. They walk in churches and do that. And we have decided as a church, this is not what we're going to do. We are not going to stand and let someone come in after anybody in our church. Our wives, our children, our elderly people, we're not going to come and just stand there while somebody just starts taking shots at people in our church. There's something morally wrong with you. If you think that there's anything in the Bible that requires me to stand by while someone shoots, rapes my wife or my son or anybody else in my family or anybody else that I care about or anybody standing next to me, there's something morally wrong with you. And they use this passage of Scripture. I love how people just, here's the Bible, squeeze, now it says what I want it to say. I love how people do that. Jesus said, if someone smite thee on the cheek, turn to them the other also. Jesus said, if a man compel thee to go with thee a mile, go with them twain. Jesus said, if a man wants your coat, give him your cloak also. Yeah, Jesus said that, and I believe that. You have no idea what I do for people, even people that have done me wrong. You have no idea. And I'm not going to stand here and brag about it. I can't. That's not right. But let me ask you a question. Those of you who think that you should just let people come in, well, if they were coming in, I'd give them food. I'd give them money. Okay. What if they come in and say, I want your Bible? I'm coming in and I'm going to take away every Bible that you have in this house. I'm going to take all your computers and tablets and phones because they have Bibles on them, and you're not going to have them anymore. You see, because the gun issue is the barrier issue. It's the barrier protection. You don't have to carry a gun. I'm not telling you you have to arm yourself with a gun. Not everybody is capable of doing that. But there have to be people standing on a wall watching to see if danger is coming. And those people on that wall, I don't want them asleep. I don't want them up there playing poker all day long. I don't want them up there watching YouTube videos. I want them on that wall, and I don't want them to be nice. I sat on a jury one time. I got called in for jury duty, and I was tickled to death. I've always wanted to be on a jury. And they asked all these questions. You know, do you have someone in your family as a member of law enforcement? And I went, yeah. And they said, okay, bye. But I'm in this jury room with, I don't know, probably 20, 25 people. They haven't whittled it down yet. And in the courthouse in Hillsboro, Missouri, when you go into the courthouse, there's one door going into that building. One door only. And once you step inside, there is 2 armed deputies standing there with guns, tasers, pepper spray, handcuffs, billy clubs, you name it. They're standing there. And everybody that comes in, they have to empty their pockets. They have to put all their stuff in a little box. They have to walk through a metal detector. They have to have the wand going around them. And they don't smile at people. And I'm sitting there, and people are just talking. And one lady, you could just tell, there's always one. She's sitting there, and she is irate. She said, did you see those guys there at the security checkpoint? Did you see those guys? They were like, ma'am, we need to look in your purse. Ma'am, could you open that up? Ma'am, we need to see this. Ma'am, we need to see that. And she said, they were mean. They were ignorant to me. And I said, ma'am, you need to understand something. The very worst people in Jefferson County, Missouri, come through that door. And I said, these people are not hired to do that job because they're nice people. They're hired to do that job because very mean, evil, nasty people come through the same door that you and I went through, and it's their job to make sure that nobody gets harmed inside this building. She said, well, I'm not one of them. I said, they didn't know that, which I didn't really believe her that she wasn't one of them. The article says it is at best naive, sometimes disingenuous, to imply that if several gun control measures would be enacted and somehow enforced, the U.S. would gain what these other nations have taken for granted. France has gun control, strictest gun control of any European nation. And guys got their hands on guns and killed 100 some odd people in one night. You can ban everything from guns to bows and arrows to pea shooters in this country. And all you're going to do is leave the good people defenseless. Because, yes, there are good law enforcement people. And if I called 911, City of Festus always responds over here. They're good guys. I know several of them. One member of the Festus Police Department was a graduate of Liberty Christian Academy, our Christian school. I've known him since he was a boy. He would come over here in a heartbeat and help us out. But he's told us, others have told us, don't wait for us to show up. That's what they told us. People, don't give them your guns. Don't give them your guns. Don't give them your bows and arrows. Don't give them your Bibles. Don't go to churches where they tell you, you don't need a Bible here. You don't need a Bible here. We put all the think about what you saw when you were at the church and the new preacher came in, or you were trying this church out and all the verses were up on the screen. Did you notice that they weren't all from the same translation of the Bible? Did you notice that? There's several reasons for that. Number one, the genius pastor up there, he'll come up with the sermon or download it while he's either playing golf or with his mistress or whatever. He downloads the sermons, and they're all from different translations because he has these preconceived thoughts, and he goes from Bible to Bible until he finds the one that says what he wants. So that's the first reason why you have all the multiple verses up there. The second reason is to disarm you. I mean, think about it. Think about it. You went to a gun show and you bought a gun. And it was one of these obscure gun manufacturers that went out of business 30 years ago. And so you go to the local sporting goods store and you say, hey, I need some ammo for this gun. And they look at it and they laugh and they're going, where did you get this thing? Well, I got it at a gun show. The guy told me, it was a good gun. He said, yeah, really? Well, they not only is no ammo, they had made ammo for this gun for the last 15 years. So what have you got? You got a worthless piece of wrought iron is what you've got. Don't shoot anything. There ain't nothing made for it. The objective is to have people who go to church weaponless. So you go to a church, you carry a Bible. The pastor starts doing his little talk, and he's never telling you where to turn in your Bibles. You're just holding it. So you look up on the screen, and you see this little verse up there, and you look it up in your King James, and you're going, what translation is that? So you reach over for the Pew Bible. You figure, well, the Pew Bible's probably an NIV. That's probably what he's using. So you get ready to open it up, and the next verse that comes up on the screen is from the Message. And you're looking at it, and you're going, well, that don't even say it here. So what do? You got hundreds of thousands of people all over this country going to churches that don't carry a Bible anymore. Why? They just laid it down voluntarily, and they were told, you don't need it. I'm the expert. I went to the Bible college and the seminary, and I got the degrees in psychology. You don't need it. I will tell you what you need. Hand over the money. And hundreds of thousands of people in churches do that every Sunday. Don't hand them your Bible. Don't drop your sword. Don't give them your weapons. The gun control issue is the barrier issue. It is the wall that separates evil people in very powerful places. It is the thing that separates them from you. It is the thing that keeps them where they need to be. Separate. Abiding by the laws, the rules, the contract that exists between the United States government and its people. It's called the Constitution. The Constitution says the government can only do this and this and this, and the government cannot do this. And we, the people, say, that's what we agree to. This is America. This is who we are. This is what we want you to protect and defend. Not us. Don't protect us. We'll protect ourselves. And see, folks, always take this and apply it in the spiritual realm. God gave, in Ephesians chapter 6, you can go ahead and turn there. In Ephesians chapter 6, at no time does the Apostle Paul ever tell only the bishops to put on the whole armor of God. At no time does Paul only say to those who have a degree in Greek studies or New Testament history or whatever it is, a master of divinity. At no time does the Apostle Paul tell only the elders and the bishop of the church to arm themselves. He does not say that to them. He says it to all of us. He says to us, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day. You see, the terrorists went home. And what did they do? They put on armament. And they armed themselves with weapons and bombs and, I don't know, maybe even had, Kevlar, bulletproof vest. They went and prepared themselves while the policy of the people in that building, the official policy is, we're not going to allow anybody with a weapon inside of this building. Had there been somebody in that room carrying, 9mm semi-automatic with a 30-round clip, maybe there wouldn't be 14 people dead. Maybe there wouldn't have. Paul doesn't just tell the pastors and the bishops and the popes of all the different denominations and the scholars at the seminaries. He doesn't just tell them to arm themselves. He tells you. You arm yourself. Because let me tell you something, people. The attacks that you get late in the evening, sometimes in the middle of the day, sometimes those devils are standing there waiting for you to get up out of bed. The attacks that you are going to get, 9 times out of 10, are going to happen while your pastor is not standing right there next to you. They're going to come after you while you're alone, while you're away from good company. Isn't that how it works? And so you're out there all alone, and these devils are going to come after you. You should be armed. You should be. Arm yourself with Bible verses. You know what I think a lot of the fiery darts of the enemy are that are thrown at? See, the reason why he tells us to have a shield of faith, believing God's word. I think a lot of the fiery darts that are thrown at God's people are false doctrine darts. Stuff like you have to keep Passover in order to really be saved, truly be saved and honor God. Stuff like if you don't say Yahushua, you're a pagan. Stuff like that. The devil throws these fiery darts of false doctrine at you. And if your shield of faith is not whole and intact, he will find the weak spot, will he not? If I was the devil and I saw you with a shield and I saw that it had a hole in it because there was parts of the Bible that you just didn't believe, that's where I would aim. Because all I have to do is hit you one time because it's a fiery dart, right? Let's move on. From the Attorney General to the Department of Homeland, I said I'm going to move on, but from the Attorney General all the way down to the Department of Homeland Security, the federal government has proven that they are not interested in protecting the people of America. They wouldn't even protect their own ambassador to Libya. And he was a sodomite. Obama wouldn't even protect him. What makes you think that, and I'm talking federal government, what makes you think that they are there for your protection? They're not. They're there to protect our enemies. They're there to protect Islam, sodomy, and everything else that's wrong with America. That's what they stand for, and that's what they're there to protect. All right, let's change over here. Let's deal with something else. Why artificial intelligence systems are learning to play old school video games. Google subsidiary DeepMind, a new startup called Osaro, are building AI systems that can play Atari video games like Space Invaders, Video Pinball, and Breakout. Researchers at these companies aren't trying to teach their AI systems to better understand the arcade culture of the 80s. Rather, they hope that teaching these artificial intelligence systems to navigate the digital world of video games will eventually help machines navigate complex human environments like warehouses and factories. Teach them video games. Get them to be smart, according to Wired, which is an online type magazine. The AI systems at both companies have gotten good enough that they can sometimes beat professional human players. There was a movie out about the aliens posing as like Pac-Man and Centipede, and we need to get these guys from the 80s that were master video game players and kill them all. I haven't seen the movie, but I know that that's what it's about. Osaro's system uses recurrent neural networks which mimic the neurons in the human brain and have a form of short-term memory, like most men. Form of short-term memory. That's crucial for these kinds of games where time is an important component. You can't really tell what's going on in a game just by looking at a single frame, Osaro CEO said. He said you need to look at a sequence of frames to know if, say, a ball is going left or right, if it's accelerating or decelerating. Both DeepMind and Osaro's AI systems learn the games through trial and error. The systems try out different moves until they figure out the ones that work. They are, quote, rewarded for successful moves with what Wired calls digital dopamine. Essentially, some form of positive reinforcement that lets the software know it's on the right track. The name Osaro is a nod to this process. It's short for observation, state inference, action, and reward, and as the loop continues, observation. Ultimately, 80 videos games were a simplified stand-in for real environments. DeepMind and Osaro want to build AI systems that can navigate in the real world. Why would they want to do that? Why would they want an artificial intelligence system to be able to navigate the real world? There is, listen to this one, Chinese researchers. Let me take a swig here. Chinese researchers unveil a brain-powered car. That in itself gets one of these. Brain-powered car. You ever drive on the freeway in downtown? There ain't a brain-powered car anywhere to be found. And you know this, because the guy that pulls out in front of you goes, "You stupid idiot. You brainless numbskull driving a car. What's wrong with you?" China's first mind control. Now, I want you to get this. It's not a car with a brain. It's a car where the guy in the car has this stuff sticking in his head, and it's picking up the brain waves from his brain, and those signals are being transcoded to turns and speed and stop and signal lights and throwing cigarette butts out the window and stuff like that. That's what's going on here. China's first mind-controlled car has been developed by researchers in the northeast port city of Tianjin. Chinese researchers have developed what they say is the country's first car that uses nothing but brain power to drive. The research team from Nankai University in the northeastern Chinese port of Tianjin has spent 2 years bringing the mind-controlled vehicle to reality by wearing brain signal reading equipment. A driver can control the car to go forward, backwards, come to a stop, and both lock and unlock the vehicle, all without moving their hands or feet. Researcher Zhang Zhao told Reuters the equipment comprises 16 sensors that capture EEG, which is electroencephalogram, signals from the driver's brain. They developed a computer program that selects the relevant signals and translates them, enabling the control of the car. The tester's EEG signals are picked up by this brain signal reading equipment and transmitted wirelessly to the computer. The computer processes the signals to categorize and recognize people's intention. Now, get a hold of this, because I got one here for you. It's a one of these, okay? And I'm just setting you up for it. Getting you. It's like bringing out the French fried blooming onion at Outback Steakhouse to get you ready for the savory steak that they're going to bring. I'm getting you all set up for it. Here is a computer now that is being taught to read our minds. All right? That all in like this little bubble where it has no influence or impact on anything else in the world. That sounds pretty cool. But the idea that just about, in fact, every week, new horizons have been reached. New heights have been attained. New startling revolutions that are changing everything are being invented. I mean, every week some new thing comes up. And you guys are seeing them. You guys are seeing these things take place. You're sending me there. This is where I get this stuff. Get it from you guys. You're a pastor. Have you seen this? Check this out. This is like what you've been talking about. Amen. It's the only reason why it's what I talk about is because what I talk about is what's in the Bible. And I feel sorry for you people who don't believe the Bible. I'm sorry you don't. Because everything that's going on right now is of biblical proportions. This is that which was spoken. So the computer now reads, watch this now, our intentions. I mean, think about how a car is controlled. Think about you behind the wheel. I sound like an Infinity car commercial. Imagine you behind the wheel, soaring, navigating new heights. Okay? When you want to turn left, and I don't know if you think about this or not, but those of you who have driven a car long enough, you're not just 15 and a half years old and don't know what to do. You've driven a car. When you want to turn left, all of a sudden, you don't even think about it. You're just turning left. First time I ever got on what they call a zero-turn lawnmower. It's one of those that doesn't have a steering wheel. It's got two bars that act independently, and they control the speed of the various wheels. The first time I got on one of those types of lawnmowers, I did mowed the grass for like 15 minutes, and I was exhausted because I was fighting this thing. I'm going, I don't know what to do. It's not turning the way I want it to turn. It's because I didn't know what to do. And I remember a year later, I'm out mowing the grass on this thing, and I realized that all I'm doing is thinking that I need to go left, and for some reason, I'm just going left. And that's because there's a part of my brain now that is taken over. I guess it's reflexive. That once I have taught myself how to make this machine do exactly what I want it to do, I don't even have to tell my right arm to pull back and my left arm to go forward, because that's how you would decrease the speed on the right side, increase the speed on the left side, and that's how you turn left. And then the same thing if you want to go right, and if you want to stop, you just pull back like a horse. Okay, it's just like a horse. And I just remember thinking, I'm turning left here because I need to go left. I don't remember telling my arms to do this thing. I'm just like doing it. It's just automatic. So that's how we learn it. It's how we learn how to ride a bike. It's how we learn how to ride a horse. It's how we learn how to ride a lawnmower or a car. We don't even think about it anymore. All of a sudden we're there. Like in the morning when you get up and go to work. You get in your car and you take off, and when you wake up, you're pulling in your work parking spot. You're going, how in the world did I get here? Right? Now we're teaching a computer to get us there without even really thinking about it. The computer is going to learn to read our intentions. What we think we need to do, or what we need to do, or what it is we need, the computer then will take over and do those things for us. For right now, that makes us the master and the computer the slave. But that's not going to last very long. Remember Daniel 2. Let's go to Daniel 2. Let's use this as a foundation of what we're seeing going on in the world. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel. Got it. Daniel chapter 2. There is a kingdom coming. A kingdom, I believe that it's mentioned not just in Daniel 2. I think it's mentioned all over the place. In Deuteronomy 28, God specifically told Israel. Leviticus 26 kind of backs this up. We know that there are repercussions for abandoning the law of the Lord. We know that those things happen. And what God told Israel is, I'm going to put a yoke of iron around your neck. There's a clue right there. They're going to be unequally yoked with unbelievers, or the temple of God with idols, or light with darkness, and so on. God said he'd put a yoke of iron around them, and he would send them a nation of fierce countenance. A nation whose tongue they wouldn't understand. A nation that would not regard the old, neither the young. Doesn't it just strike you as beyond belief that the laws in the various sophisticated countries around the world kill the preborn, and they don't mind killing the old people? Because they're useless. They're no good anymore. Why waste money on giving them cancer treatments and heart treatments when they're just going to die anyway? Isn't it amazing that the more sophisticated we become, we turn against the very young and the very old? That's a spirit, people. That's where that comes from. And so we know that these things, we know from Scripture. Joel talks about an army, a nation. Jeremiah spoke of the northern army. Joel spoke of the northern army. They're coming from a particular place. Let me give something to you just as a theory. I always like to tell you this is just a theory here. It's not, I haven't worked it all out yet. I noted that in dealing and doing the research into the quantum computer and how it operates, how it works, there's something about the temperature at which they bring this computer down to, this microchip down to. You remember I showed you the videos of the guy explaining what the D-Wave quantum computer did and how it worked. And he said, what we do is, it's like this big, gigantic black refrigerator. And he said, we get the core of this thing down to nearly absolute zero. Now, let me explain absolute zero to you for those of you who do not know what that is, okay? There are different ways of measuring temperature. We here in America, we use the Fahrenheit system, okay? 32 degrees is freezing. 212 is the boiling point or whatever. In the Celsius system, 0 is freezing, 100 is boiling. All right, seems pretty easy. But then there is another system called Kelvin, or K. And there is this idea that at 0 degrees Kelvin, the electrons of an atom stop spinning. At 0 degrees Kelvin, absolute zero. Theoretically, there's no, in outer space, it doesn't get that cold. All right? So at 0 degrees Kelvin, all of the molecules and all of the atoms and all their spin and all their actions and stuff like that, all of those things just stop dead cold. Okay? They bring the temperature of the quantum computer processor to, as the guy explained, a fraction above 0 Kelvin. Not quite 0 degrees where the electrons would stop spinning, but very, very close to that. And somehow, some way, that brings about this nexus into a parallel universe. Yin and yang, square and compass, okay? That's all I know so far. Now, that got me curious, because what makes a quantum computer work is extreme cold. So I just looked up the word cold in the King James Bible. I didn't get very far, read one verse. Then I stopped right there and I went, I think it means something. Okay? Cold in the Bible is related to a particular location. Give you 5 guesses as to what direction cold is related to in, the north. Something there. I don't know what it is. That's just a little theory, all right? Daniel chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar dreams of these 4 kingdoms. I talk about this a lot because, as far as I'm concerned, this is where we're going. This is what you and I, as Gentile believers, this is the course that God has us on, I believe. I believe, according to 2 Thessalonians 2, without altering the text in any way, I believe exactly that day will not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed. And I think the fusion of this 4th kingdom of iron with the seed of men, I think that spells the end of mankind, or humanity, mankind as we know it. The new humans, that's the new humanity right there, when they mingle themselves with the seed of men. He says in Daniel 2, let's see here. Let's pick it up in verse 33. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. It's interesting that that's in verse 33. Okay, square and compass, 33. Anyway, then we look in, he's going to give the explanation. He said, you're the head of gold, king of kings. You're a king of kings. And then he says in verse 40, let's go to 40, verse 40. Interesting. The 4th kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And by the way, just something to think about, that the image itself, and I'm not sure what this means, but the image itself, starting out with the head of gold and then silver and then brass and then iron, what you're doing is that you're going from gold, which is a soft metal and very shiny and very expensive. And then when you go down, you get to silver, which is a little bit more hard and less expensive. Then you get to brass, which is harder than silver and gold. Then you get to iron, which is harder than all of them. But as you go down, you not only get harder, but as you go down, you get cheaper. Okay? And iron is iron is going to mingle here, or it's going to attempt to mingle with miry clay. He says in verse 41, whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron. And I want you to think about the union of opposites. The kingdom shall be divided. And what did Jesus say about a kingdom divided against itself? What word did he use when he said a kingdom divided against itself will not play tennis? No. Will not eat Chinese food? No. Will not stand. That's what he said. And this image is standing. But because they mingle themselves with miry clay, it will not, it's divided, and it won't stand. So he said, the kingdom shall be divided, and there shall be in it the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron, part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Think about it. See the opposites here? Iron and clay, opposites. The toes of the feet, part iron, part clay, partly strong, partly broken. Whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with miry clay. It will not stand, people. It's going to fall because the stone cut out without hands is going to get it. Now, here's why I'm bringing all this up right now, is that we're looking at the fusion of electronics and human beings. Next year, 2016, is going to be the breakthrough year for virtual or augmented reality. The Oculus Rift virtual reality headset is coming, and it has already spawned a lot of similar technology. And let me explain that. Already they are refilming videos and movies specifically for this virtual reality headset, because in a like on this computer screen, I'm looking at myself, and I'm looking at myself in two dimensions, and if I turn my head this way, I can't see myself anymore. I can see the picture now. In virtuality headset, you have these two high definition screens in front of your eyes. The virtual reality headset detects the motion of your head and your eyes. And when you turn your head, the video that you're watching shifts to what is to your left. If you turn it to the right, the video that you're watching views to the right. They are filming short clips, short movies, videos right now with a 360-degree camera setup that has all of this potential information. No matter how, if you watch this same video 100 times and turn your head at different places and times in this video, you're going to see what is going on to your left, to your right, to behind you, while this video or this action is being carried out in the video. It's unreal, the amount of potential that virtual reality has and the change that it's going to make in humanity. People are going to jump all over this thing, and they already are. And what we're doing is that we are systematically learning how to fuse humanity with computers. Here is an article, and I'm not going to spend a lot more time on this. I'm going to get into the seed thing. Here's one. You can read the whole article. It's on the Pastor Mike Online Facebook page. Is the future of music a chip in your brain? Think about it. Remember in the 80s when the guys walked around with the great, big, humongous stereo on their shoulder because they carrying their tunes, and it had a cassette player in it. Whoa! Dude, that's a really cool cassette player you got there, dude. Okay? That's what they would put their tunes in on their cassette player that they had recorded from the FM radio station. They were pirating songs from the radio station long before the internet. They were walking around with their tunes, their big jam box on their shoulder, dancing around to the music, and everybody had to put up with their jam box. You remember that? Then the iPod came out. Steve Jobs revolutionized the music industry with the iPod. Napster. Remember Napster in the 90s? Napster was used. You used it. Don't lie. Napster was used. It was a peer-to-peer file sharing system where people who would get music off of CDs or old records or wherever they could get it, and then share it all over the internet. And people were streaming pirated copies of music. And then Napster finally joined, I don't know if that's the dark side or the light side or whatever, but then they started selling the songs for like 99 cents a pop. But the iPod, and people now, you see them everywhere. People walking around with little mini headphones in their. I'd listen to music all day long. When I'm studying, I'd listen to music. I shut everything out, listen to music. That's what I do. And we're getting used to this. So why not? Why not a chip in your brain that the music streams to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without you having to hear it? It's going right into your brain. Why not? That's what they're working on. Here's another one. Researchers unveil first biologically powered cyborg computer chip and say it would be able to taste and smell. For the first time, scientists have developed an electronic chip made of both biological and solid-state components. It could lead to a new generation of cyborg chips, which come in barbecue and onion flavored chips. Never mind. Could lead to a new generation of cyborg chips blending senses such as taste or smell with traditional electronic components. They combined solid-state complementary metal oxide semiconductors, CMOS. If you've ever seen that anagram anywhere, CMOS, that's what that is, complementary metal oxide semiconductor, integrated circuit with an artificial lipid bilayer membrane made of ATP-powered ion pumps to create a biochip. I do not understand most of that, but I think I get the idea. Get this, okay? The breakthrough study was led by Ken Shepard, Lau Family Professor of Electrical Engineering and Professor of Biomedical Engineering at Columbia University. He says, quote, in combining a biological electronic device with CMOS, we will be able to create a new system not possible with either technology alone. We're excited about the prospect of expanding the palette of active devices that will have new functions, such as harvesting energy from ATP, as was done here, or recognizing specific molecules, giving chips the potential to taste and smell. Think about it. Think it now. Let's go to the Terminator movies. And the cyborgs, the machine robots going around looking for a guy whose initials are JC, John Connor, who's the savior, the Messiah of the people. And they're going around and looking for all these humans. And all they have to do now is I smell humans. Okay? That's all they have to do. We're creating people. Listen to me. There's a verse. I got to look it up. I just caught this. Okay? You're looking at Revelation coming to pass right in front of your very eyes. Type in the word smell in your King James Pure Bible search software. Psalm 115. Listen to this. For the first time now, listen to this. For the first time, we're going to build a God that can smell. In Psalm 115, it says, not unto us, O Lord, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory, for thy mercy and for thy truth's sake. Wherefore should the heathen say, where now is their God? But our God is in the heavens. He hath done whatsoever he hath pleased. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. Think about it. We're making a chip that can smell. It's the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. What is it different about the image in Revelation 13 that the people build, led by the false prophet? It's been given a mouth, and it speaks. That's what's different about it. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. We're teaching these cyborgs to see things. Facial recognition software. It's the software that's detecting the terrorists coming into the airport. It's not humans sitting at a control panel going through pictures going, nope, that's not him. Nope, that's not him. Nope, that's not him. It is computers that put these little dots all over people's faces and take that number and store it somewhere. And when that pattern of dots comes through an airport, a bus station, or is driving a car, or is in Walmart or whatever, that computer knows who that person is. Police cars that have these cameras in them connected to a database. And the police drive up and down Walmart parking lot. And the camera is collecting license plate numbers, feeding them into the database. And when the database kicks back and says that car is stolen or the person driving that car has a warrant for their arrest, the cop instantly knows that he's got to stop here. He's going to wait for this person to come out. He's going to arrest them. Why? Because the computer saw their license plate. So we are overcoming all of the old school restrictions on building an image to a god. We're overcoming all of those, all the things that Dagon could not do. Baal, that golden calf, all the things that they could, the Virgin Mary statue. Pray for Dave Bradley, who is in Rome, the Vatican, right now, because December 8th is some big hotshot holy portal opening day in honor of the Virgin Mary, and he's out there handing out Bible tracts everywhere. You pray for him. The Virgin Mary statues, they have eyes, they cannot see. They have ears, they cannot hear. They have mouths, they cannot speak. They can't do anything. We're learning how to overcome all of those obstacles. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. We just conquered that one. One company in one place, one tech company, has now enabled a computer chip, giving it the ability to smell. Now they're working on one computer, one robot over here that has the ability to walk and get up. Instead of Dagon, when it falls, the men have to pick it up. This image is going to be able to stand on its own 2 feet by itself. We're creating a cyborg that will have the ability to see. Google and Apple have taught us to just speak to our phones and ask questions, and our phones are listening all the time. And when we ask our phone, hey Google, show me where I can get a part for my toilet or whatever, our phone answers the question now. It gives us this information. It hears our supplications and answers them. We're creating this image. We're doing it right now. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat. They that make them are like unto them, so is everyone that trusteth in them. Get ready, people. It's coming. Get this one. How much time do I have? I'm going to put this one aside. There is an article about a Bible study group. They get together with a Bible, study it, and smoke pot at the same time. That's real spiritual. Let me move some things aside. Here we go. Okay, we got a couple more things. We're going to get your Bible out. Actually, I'm just going to run through it very fast. Listen to this one. This one. I got my finger on the button here, ready. They got the music cued. A new artificial intelligence named after Gabriel the angel. If your conversations with digital personal assistants like Apple's Siri, Microsoft's Cortana, or Google now have not been useful enough, a new challenger of biblical proportions is about to arrive. Gabriel, a project by researchers at Carnegie Mellon University and funded by the National Science Foundation, is a personal cognitive means it's able to think on its own, cognitive assistant that whispers instructions into a user's ear. Get your Bible out. Look up the word whisper. Okay? The word whisper. The reason why I bring this up, those who practice contemplative prayer, they call it whispering prayers. And they hear a whispering voice telling them what to believe or what to do or what to say. That voice is not the voice of God. And they say, well, that's the still small voice of God. Let me just clarify something here. The definition of the word whisper is you utter words without a voice. You utter words like this, but you do not use your voice. That's a whisper. You said that you heard God whisper to you. God doesn't whisper. He uses a voice. He doesn't whisper. There is something that does whisper. Isaiah 29:4. God said, thou shalt be brought down and shalt speak out of the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of the dust, and thy voice shall be as of one that hath a familiar spirit out of the ground, and thy speech shall whisper out of the dust. This Gabriel whispers in your ear. It's an artificial intelligence. It is a personal assistant. What is a personal assistant? It's a familiar spirit. Witches and practitioners of magic and so on, they use the Force. Get ready, because 10 days from today, the Force is going to awaken. You know what that means? Witches and other practitioners of magic use the Force. They use the forces of nature, earth, air, fire, and water. These are spirits, people. And they even say that every element has its own spirit. These are familiar spirits, and those who practice magic can use these spirits to perform or do certain things or certain functions. If you believe what, I can't think of his name now. He was a guy that he came out of witchcraft and vampirism and everything like that. I'm trying to remember his name. He's written a couple books, and now he's kind of into this Hebrew roots thing, and I just don't really like him anymore. But if you believe what he said, he was hired as a spiritual assassin. Him and another guy were called upon to kill somebody without actually touching them or a bullet or anything like that. They cast a death spell on this person, and the guy died. Personal assistants did that for them. Now we're creating them. This personal assistant will whisper into your ear for things like how to change a tire, perform CPR, or assemble IKEA furniture. That's what it says. It would be like GPS for everyday actions, but one that knows when to shut up, according to a principal investigator. Oh, my goodness. This name, Mahadev Satyanarayana. Satan, for short. Mahadev Satan. Okay, that's the guy. The name comes from the angel Gabriel, who biblically served as the messenger of God. This Gabriel is just a software platform. It says that the hardware could be something like Google Glass or any other head-mounted display. However, the long-range goal is that this is something that everyone could wear. Getting the chips, the processors, the computers, the personal assistants, getting that closer and closer and closer to being converged with our bodies. The chip in your head so you can listen to music. A software platform called Gabriel that it detects what situation you're in, offers this. Did you see the Man of Steel movie? The newest Superman remake. On the planet Krypton, Krypton means secret. On the planet Krypton, Jor-El and all of these others of the house of El, get it, El, Elohim, they all, when they walk around, they have these little teardrop-shaped robots that float around and follow them, and they are personal assistants. Kal-El or Jor-El and his wife, what's his wife's name, Lara? They can tell these personal assistants what to do, or these personal assistant robots, artificial intelligence systems, can say, we need to go into the next room, or there is someone at the door, or whatever. You are in danger. Let's get out. That's what was envisioned in the planet Krypton. We are a few years away from that kind of technology right now. The geek inside of me, which is no good thing, likes that. Likes the idea of having this instantaneous access to the World Wide Web, to the music, to the movies. That's the geek inside of me. The information, oh my, the information that I could download directly into my brain. The Bible believer says, this is it. This is approaching more rapidly as time marches on. I don't think we can fathom the acceleration of all of this technology. Disease-resistant pigs. I got a couple jokes. Disease-resistant pigs, latest win for gene editing technology. Get ready. Because do you remember where the unclean spirits wanted Jesus to put them in? Put them in the pigs. Guess what? There was 2,000 of them, right? 2,000 of them. 2,000 years from Christ till his second coming, or somewhere around in there. We're close. That number 2,000, it's based on the number 2. The number 2 refers to the Gentiles, the time of the Gentiles. 2,000 years, 2 days. After 2 days, he will revive us. On the third day, we shall live again in his sight. We're getting very, very, very close. And that number 2, I think, points to the age of the Gentiles, the time of the Gentiles being done. It was the unclean animals that went into the ark by twos. We're the pigs. Literally. We're the pigs. The Gentiles are. And think about it. Here are spirits. Here are unclean animals. And what did those devils want Jesus to do when he cast them out of Legion? They harmonically converged with swine. And then what happened to them both? They jumped down into the deep. Think about it. That right there is a picture of the fourth kingdom. The spirits and the pigs joining together. 2,000. A British animal genetics firm working with U.S. scientists has bred the world's first pigs resistant to a common viral disease using the hot new technology of gene editing. Think about it, people. We're just now figuring out, now that we know how to rewrite the genes, you're not going to see any more stories. Reuters or any of these news organizations are not going to come out 5 months from now and say, wow, did you know that 6 months ago they figured out how to edit the genes? They're not going to come out with that story. That's, oh yeah, we knew about that like 6 months ago. What have you got new? Now we're going to start seeing what they can do with it. Or not what they can do, what else they can do with it. Genus, which supplies pig and bull seed. That's not the word that's on the page, but that's the one I'm going to read. Genus. Somebody look that website up. Genus. Gengenus. I bet it's probably got a DNA logo. Which supplies pig and bull seed to farmers worldwide, said on Tuesday it had worked with the University of Missouri to develop pigs resistant to porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome virus, PRRSV. The condition, also known as blue ear disease, can be fatal as it affects the animal's immune system and costs farmers hundreds of millions of dollars a year. There's no cure. By using precise gene editing, the team from the University of Missouri was able to breed pigs that do not produce a specific protein necessary for the virus to spread in the animals. Their research was published in the Journal of Nature Biotechnology. Early stage studies shows that the new PRRSV resistant pigs, when exposed to the virus, did not get sick and continued to gain weight normally. Sounds like me, Mike Hoggard. Now, number one, when God wrote pig DNA, God wrote this genetic code to build this protein in pigs. Why? We don't know why God wrote that into the pig DNA, but God did write it into the pig DNA. And since we don't know really why God wrote that particular protein manufacturing gene into the pig DNA, should we then eliminate that protein out of the pig's body? We don't know, because we don't know exactly why it's there to begin with. But apparently this protein is necessary for this virus to live. So if we took this protein out, then this virus can't live. My question is, how do we know that that protein doesn't actually stop a worse thing from happening? Let me put it to you like this. Let's say that you are a protein. You are something that a pig's DNA manufactures because it's encoded in that book called DNA in that pig. Let's say you're that protein. And you said, oh yeah, let's change the book. Let's change the DNA. So they took out the genetic code that made you. And now it's gone. You see, Jesus told us in very plain English, do not take out any of the words of this book. Because the words of the book is what builds, in DNA terms, the words of the book is what makes proteins. And the proteins make everything that I have in my body, both good and bad. It's proteins, people. It's the DNA that makes them. So when Jesus said, if you take out any strand, any part of the genome of the book, if you take that out, I will take your name out of the book of life. Here's the problem. You allow them to take out certain parts of your DNA. Now you are not what God spoke you into existence to be. You're something else that man made, not God made. You are now a temple that has been remade with the hands of man. Therefore, you are not qualified to be the house and the temple of Almighty God. But you are qualified to be somebody else's house. Get where I'm going? Get your Bibles ready, or get your King James Pure Bible Search software or whatever. And let me look at some emails that are coming in. Maybe they're interesting. Let me look at them. I haven't looked at emails in a long time on Pastor Mike Online. Dear Pastor Mike, just wanted to let you know, in case you didn't, that ISIL stands for Islamic State of Iraq and Levant. I appreciate that. And no, I'm not going to video right now. All right. Let's see here. This is a very long email. Let's see here. I think I know where you're going. Let me just say this. I'll say this. I'll probably deal with it again because people are out there all blah, blah. If you want to get together with your family on December 25th and give each other presents and honor the Lord Jesus Christ and his coming, don't let anybody tell you you can't. Okay? Don't let anybody tell you you can't. There is no Bible verse anywhere that says you cannot get together December 24th, December 25th, 26th, or 21st, any day of the week, and worship the Lord for his coming, and look forward to his second coming, and then your family with gifts. Not a word in the Bible about it. Okay, so that's it. Now, if you don't want to do all that other stuff, don't. You don't have to. You don't need it. Okay? Anyway. No, it's not. It's Bill Schneblin. I remembered now. Bill Schneblin. Mike Warnke was proven to be a fraud. If you don't know who that is, Mike Warnke. He came out. He went on the speaking circuit with some of these early hippie Christians like Phil Keaggy and Honeytree and some of these others in second chapter of Acts and so on. And he went around telling everybody how he used to be a former Satanist, and he had a coven. He had the largest coven in the California area, and he was a big drug dealer and pusher and everything else. And he got saved, and now he's going to tell everybody. Now he's an expert enforcement on things of the occult and so on. And some people started looking into his background, and they're going, he lied about every bit of that. So he wrote a book called The Satan Seller. I read it, and I'm just going, wow, this is so cool. And I was wondering why the wife that he mentioned in his book, The Satan Seller, was not the wife that he was traveling around with, because I found out he's had 4 or 5 of them, and he keeps beating the snot out of them. That was Mike Warnke. Bill Schneblin is the guy that he was into vampirism. He is the one, he claimed in his book that he was hired as a spiritual assassin, and it actually worked. And he says he believes and practices the King James Bible, but there's a lot of things about him that just don't add up when it comes to that Hebrew root stuff. So you pray for him. I'm not his enemy. I love the guy, and I would love to see him come out and say, I absolutely believe every word in the King James Bible and believe it word for word and exactly what it says. I'd love for him to just come out and say it. All right? Anyway, let's deal with this seed thing. We have the examples that we have the clear teaching in the Bible. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. We have CRISPR, the editing technology. Now that we know how to do it, get ready for all of these articles and all these breakthroughs and all this new science. I'll tell you what you get ready for. You need to arm yourself. You need a shield of faith for this one, people. Let me tell you where this is going to go. Your mom or dad or you is going to be diagnosed with terminal cancer or Alzheimer's or any of these other very bad, evil diseases. And they're going to come out with a breakthrough technology using the CRISPR editing system to not just inject you with good DNA cells, but to actually go in and send in a mechanism that literally rewrites the DNA in every cell in your body. And they're telling you that they will be able to cure your dad's or your mom's or your wife's or husband's Alzheimer's. If you will just, all we need to do is, it's a series of injections, and it's cutting edge technology, but it works. And all you have to do is let us change theirs or yours DNA. You are going to need a shield of faith on that one. Because when it comes to dealing with the death of either ourselves or our loved ones, people get weak. Can't you do anything for them? Can't you save them? Can't you eliminate this disease? Why aren't you doing anything? You know how it works, don't you? There are, right now, in Bethel Church, in our local church, 3 people that are dealing with cancer. 2 of them, in fact, I haven't announced it yet. Brother Keith, his wife Pam plays the organ. They moved down from Wisconsin. He doesn't mind me sharing this. Wants you to pray for him. He's going to go see a surgeon this week about a cancerous tumor in his bowels somewhere. I think it's in his colon. I went to see David Toomey. Cried some tears with the man. Went to his house and just visited with him. He naps a lot. He's very tired. He's desperately wanting to stay alive for his wife and for his family's sake. And I love him. I love the man. I don't want to see anything bad happen to him. I don't want that. And then there's somebody else in our church. They've asked not to be identified, not to be known, but they have found out they have cancer. They are pretty sure they can take care of it, and they'll be just fine. Brother Chris just came by a while ago. His wife, Tammy, is in the hospital. They're thinking that she doesn't have cancer again, but she has, I guess, a form of colitis. There's a lot of inflammation in her guts, and she may be in the hospital a while. And these people are struggling. These people are hurting. Pray for them. These are real people. Go to this church, and they're good people. Oh yeah, they're filthy, rotten, nasty, bullheaded sinners, but that's the kind of people he loves, and I love them too. But when it comes to somebody dying of cancer, this is an emotional issue, and we make emotional decisions. And I'm telling you, in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to tell you we can cure this now. We use the CRISPR system, and we literally rewrite the genetics of every cell in their body, and we can cure their disease. Let us do it. And you are going to need the shield of faith to trust that what Jesus said, he meant. And he was being but loving. He was telling you, don't change the book. Don't let them do it, people. Don't let them do it. You've heard me say, I'd rather die a human than live as something else. Let me read some scriptures to you. Remember, DNA is a book. It's got words in it, the genetic structure. Jesus is that word. Your Bible is that word. John 1:14. Think about it. It makes sense. And the Word was made flesh. Think about it. Think about it. The Word was made flesh. DNA became a body. It worked. It works every single time. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. And that Word needs to be a pure, it needs to be the very words that God spoke it to be. We still as a species, have Adam's DNA. It's still intact. It's still there. And God said, don't alter it. In Psalm 107, verse 20, the Bible says he sent his word and healed them. Think about it. He sent his word and healed them and delivered them from their destructions. Psalm 119:50, this is my comfort in my affliction, for thy word hath quickened me. It's this word that makes us alive. Psalm 119:30, the entrance of thy words giveth light, it giveth understanding unto the simple. Proverbs 5, verse 7, hear me now therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. And here's what I want you to get. God spoke everything that you contain in all of your cells. God is the one who spoke it that way. Is all of them good? No. There are vanity genes in you. And what I mean by that is genes that aren't good for the life of the body. More than likely, I have something in my genetics that makes me prone to type 2 diabetes. And it was just waiting to happen. And so there are times when I struggle with it. I struggle with the weight issue. I struggle with, man, that looks really good. Okay? And some days I go, Mike, you can't eat that now. It's bad for you. And some days I'm going, who cares? Who cares? And don't any of you look down your nose at me. Okay? But I have type 2 diabetes, and Sunday, I don't know what happened. It may be just the progression of diabetes. My blood sugar went higher Sunday than it has in 2 years. And I have no reason for it, no cause for it. Something happened, but I don't know what it was. And it lays me out. I can't function. I can't do anything. It's like there's a rope pulling me to a couch or a bed to lay down, and that's all that I care to do is go lay down. And I struggle with it all Sunday, right after lunch, and all I had was Lisa's homemade beans and ham, and some cornbread that she made with xylitol, not sugar. And it was delicious. And my blood sugar went up right after lunch, and it kept going up, which I've never had happen before. But it kept going up, and it was over 200 about an hour before the evening service. That's why we didn't have it. I told everybody, I said, I got to go home. I got to lay down. I'm no good. And I love God's work in my life. God spoke that DNA into me. And if God put it there, he had a reason for it. And I like God's reasoning. He put this thing in me so that I could hope for something better. And that's what I am going to receive. But I'm going to receive it from him, not from some man did. And so if they come out and say, now listen to this. Now I'm speaking to all y'all good eaters out there. If they came out and said, guess what? We found the gene when you eat Krispy Kreme donuts and cinnamon rolls and ice cream and cake and Twinkies and all of this stuff, that when you eat it, if we rewrite this gene, it has zero effect on your cholesterol, zero effect on your blood sugar, zero effect on your weight. Eat all you want to. Some of you are going, yeah! Woo! Bring it on! Don't do it. Don't do it. God had just like that protein in those pigs. God had a reason for putting that protein in those pigs. We don't know what God's reasoning was. That's why we shouldn't mess with it. It's like if you go out, if you go out and you find a place where you want to go swimming, there's a nice swimming hole, there's a nice big creek there or some kind of lake or pond or whatever, and you get ready to go swimming and you see this big sign that says, danger, no swimming here. Now, you have no idea. It doesn't explain why we can't swim there. But it says, danger, no swimming here. What should you do? You should go home. Don't swim there. It's dangerous. But there's always somebody that says, well, I mean, I don't know why they don't want me to, but I don't see anything wrong with it. And they dive right in. And that's what they're doing with these pigs. They changed that protein. They took it out. So now this virus can't live in there. Now these, and see, you know what the goal of that is? Money. See, it costs these farmers millions of dollars when they lose these pigs to this sickness. Now everybody makes money. See the love of money? See what it did? It drove this thing that they did. It's the root of all evil. I have bad genes. They don't fit. They got holes in them. I have bad genes. I'm keeping them because that makes me want the life to come instead of the life here. Man now says we can rewrite them. And here he said in Proverbs, "O children, depart not from the words of my mouth." Don't let them change your DNA. Don't let them change grandpa's DNA. Don't, listen to me. I lost a grandbaby. Don't let them change your baby's DNA. Don't do it, people. Jeremiah 15:16, thy words were found, and I did eat them, and thy word was unto me the joy and rejoicing of my heart, for I am called by thy name, O Lord God of hosts. Revelation 12:11, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by what? By the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. You know what these people are doing in Revelation 12? They said, this is my Bible. I'll die for it. I will die before I let you take away the words of my testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. That's real Bible Christianity. They're going to come after us, people. They're going to come after us with this morality thing. And I've already heard them talk. I've already heard the genetically modified organism scientists who believe that they are doing moral things. They are doing the only moral thing that can be done, and that is if we have the ability to alter the genetics of corn, rice, wheat, pigs, chicken, cows, anything that's eaten, if we have the ability to change it for the good, then we must change it. And they're going to come after you with a moral decision. What? Are you going to watch grandpa die? Are you going to watch your mom pass away? Are you going to watch your wife die? Or will you let us give her these treatments so that it will remove this sickness from her? And they're going to call you killers. They're going to call you a murderer. They're going to say you're immoral. Don't buy it, people. Don't do it. They love not their lives even unto the death. Turn to 1 Corinthians 15. They're going to come at you with evil things. Evil as far as let's replace some genetics so that the proteins are either made or not made in your system, and that's going to cure your disease. They're going to come after you with those things. And evil things always corrupt good things, right? I mean, if, sometimes I'm preaching Sunday morning and I need some water, need to drink some water. My mouth is some of the medicine I take. And I need some water. And somebody go get me some water. And so one of the guys, let's say Dave Bradley comes here. Dave would do something like this. Dave would come. Dave, I need some water. Dave, can you get me a bottle of water? Dave comes up with this brand new, fresh, clean, nearly frozen, cool bottle of water. Open the top and he goes in it. It says, "There you go, Pastor." Dave would do it. And I would go, you're an idiot. Can somebody who really loves me go get me some clean water? You see, it wouldn't take much of Dave Bradley spitting in a water cup to make me not drink it. Okay? Wouldn't take much at all, would it? Evil things. Look at 1 Corinthians 15. Look at verse 33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. God gave you his word in every cell in your body. And when God said man, when he created everything, God saw that it was good. He gave man a woman. Now they're good. And I have God's word in me, living and abiding in me, becoming flesh every day. Every time my cells reproduce, I'm getting more of that word in there. It's reviving me as I'm living right now. But evil communications will corrupt that, won't it? When the CRISPR editing system takes place and they want to edit something in my DNA, that just corrupted the whole thing. It's like taking verses out of the Satanic Bible and sticking them into the King James Bible. It's like Mormons walking around with a Book of Mormon and a King James Bible. Joe Smith's evil communications corrupted the Bible's good manners. So you see how it works, right? Colossians chapter 2, verse 4, and this I say, lest any man should beguile you with enticing words. First, the doctors are going to tell you, we can cure your disease. You don't have to die now. We can cure it. How are you going to do that? We're going to introduce new genes into your DNA, and we're going to rewrite your entire genetic structure. We're going to reprogram your whole body. And your body will cure itself with this new DNA in it. Lest any man should beguile you with enticing words. What did the devil do? Some people say, "Oh, the devil, he had sex with Eve." Yeah, that's what the Bible really says. That's what the original Hebrew really says. It doesn't say anything like that. It doesn't say it at all. Here's the one thing we know. The devil didn't have sex with Eve. He beguiled her with enticing words. He took evil communications and corrupted good manners. And they're going to come after you. They're going to come after you by telling you, we can cure the disease. We can fix your baby. Even before it's born, reprogram your baby's genetics before it's ever born, and you'll never even know that it had this problem. And you're not moral if you don't want to do this. You see how they're going to talk? You see how everybody is going to receive the mark? That's how it's going to be done, people. Interesting. Well, this world, it's just unbelievable what's happening in our lifetime. Again, I say to you, let's look at the old Bible with fresh eyes and see what's in there. You'll find things that I'll never see. And when you do, you better show them to me, okay? Anyway, love you. Think Bible.